Once upon a time, a single drop of sunlight fell from the heavens, and from this small drop of sun grew a magic golden flower. It had the ability to heal the sick and injured.
Mysterious event in the heavens divided an ancient power in two. The Sundrop and Moonstone fell to the earth, two elements that longed to reunite.
Why can't I go outside?
The outside world is a dangerous place, filled with horrible, selfish people. You must stay here, where you're safe. Do you understand, Flower?
Yes, Mom.
After having talked about Tangled quite a few times, there is one thing that still has not been answered. For me, the greatest mystery of all is, where did the Sundrop come from? In the movie, they talk about the Sundrop, and all that is said by Flynn writer Eugene is that this Sundrop fell from the heavens with no explanation as to why or how. All that he says is that it fell upon a flower that gave this flower magical abilities to be able to heal the sick and injured.
It had the ability to heal the sick and injured.
It is also referred as a miracle flower because when the queen gets sick, everybody was looking for a miracle or the flower. But let's backtrack a little bit. When Flynn talks about how this Sundrop fell from the heavens, he also says
Centuries passed.
centuries have passed, meaning this flower is very, very old. But that's pretty much all that the movie gives us. But what about the series? Well, typically, you'd think that the series would give off a little bit more information as to how this magical flower came to be, but it doesn't really. It does explore that backstory, but it never really explains it. All that it says is that
Mysterious event in the heavens divided an ancient power in two.
the Sundrop that heals the sick and injured, as we see in the movie, and the Moonstone. And the Moonstone is the complete opposite of the Sundrop. It's destructive. It's related to death and decay. But that's all they say. Now, they do say that it was an ancient power. So the power itself is ancient, even more so than the flower. So we have to keep this in mind while we research the rest of this video. We have to make sure that whatever this power comes from, it has to be ancient. Now, to be able to do this, we have to know where this Tangled story, the story of Rapunzel, first originated. Now, it is said that Tangled is mostly based on the story of the Brothers Grimm. They take their story from them. But, as I said, this has to be ancient. And, well, Brothers Grimm is old, but it's not ancient. And just so y'all know, ancient really means 3000 BC to 500 AD. And Brothers Grimm definitely does not fall into that category. They are from 1790. The Brothers Grimm did not come up with this story themselves. They took inspiration from, dang it, I don't know how to say this, but Persinet from 1698. It doesn't fit the mold. 1698 is not ancient. But they took their story from Petrocinella, which is from 1634. It's old, but not as old as we're looking for. So I kept doing my research, and I realized that this story just goes back and back and back further. This story of Rapunzel is old, very old. And that's when I came upon the very real story of great martyr Barbara. And she was born in the 3rd century. That would be 201 to 300 AD. And somewhere in there, she was born. Does that fit the mold? It most definitely does. Now, who is this Barbara that I speak of? Well, Barbara was the daughter of a rich pagan named Dioscorus. And she lived with both her father and her mother. But one day her mother passed, and Dioscorus noticed that Barbara was incredibly beautiful, and so he wanted to protect her from everybody, from the outside world. So he dedicated his life to protecting his daughter. And how did he do this? Well, he locked her up in a tower. No one was allowed in. The only people who were the father and her pagan teachers. But Barbara was different from her father. She believed in God. She considered herself to be Christian. She dedicated her life to God. Once Barbara grew older, her father decided that she needed someone to marry. So he presented her with many men whom he thought were good for her. But Barbara did not want to marry any of them. And one day the father decided that he wanted to have a private bathhouse built for his only daughter. And the original plan was to build in 2 windows. But Barbara wanted 3. Why? Because it would create the Trinity of light. This bathhouse of Barbara's became a place full of healing power, and many, very, very many miracles happened there. Soon after, though, Barbara confessed to her father that she was Christian and believed in the Lord. But this is not what her father believed, and so he was enraged with her, so much so that he grabbed his sword and tried to kill her. But Barbara escaped, and she found a place where she could hide. Unfortunately for her, when her father came across a shepherd, he ratted her out. He told him exactly where Barbara was. He locked her up, and along with other men of his, they tortured her. But magically, her scars and bruises went away the next day after being beaten. Regardless, her days would come to an end when her father would decide to behead her. So she passed away. But she wasn't the only one, because soon after her death, lightning struck her father and killed him as well. So, as you can see, there are many similarities between Saint Barbara and Rapunzel. I am not saying that Saint Barbara is Rapunzel, because the timeline wouldn't match there. What I am saying, though, is that this power, the sun drop and the moonstone, could have came from Barbara. In the heavens above, as they say, they also claim that the flower is a miracle. Interesting words. Barbara presents both types of miracles. The sun drop is represented by the miracle that God grants her by healing her bruises. And the moonstone is represented after her death, when lightning struck her father dead.
They're dreaming.
Get inside the house, Carl.
We still have to name them.
No, Corey, don't. They'll be fine. Just get inside. You, right now.